We're going to rock and roll. Here we go. Here we go now.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto, like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1585 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Learn how to plan, invest, and live smarter. Season 7 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast from Moneris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making her Toronto Mic debut, is Victoria Matiash. How you doing, Victoria?
That was a lovely effect. I really appreciate it.
Shooting too. Okay. I was told I promoted your episode in a previous episode like a week ago, and I completely butchered the pronunciation of your surname. And then I got a tip, Matiash. And then somebody said, no, man, it's more like Matiash.
Mm-hmm.
Now that
more of a D than a T.
Okay. That was a tip I just got from Mark Weisblad. That was the tip I just got.
Okay.
His alarm is set to 10:10. He said he's heard you a million times. Matiash.
That's right.
Okay, good to see you again. Do you know we've met?
Yes, we have. We've met, I think, at least once at a West End Phoenix event.
Okay, I wondered if you'd remember that great moment in your life. Yes.
Yes, I did.
It was so Tyler Campbell, who does volunteer work with West End Phoenix, I think he delivers in this neck of the woods. I think he delivers the paper. He invited me as his +1 to some kind of, West End Phoenix subscriber event, and I met Victoria Matiash.
I think I did a little bit of emceeing that night.
You were, I think I won. You know what now? It just came back to me. I think you were emceeing a bit, and I think I won.
Little bit.
I won. Bedini needs the mic too. Okay. I feel I won something that night. I don't even think I was able to use the ticket. No. You want to know the true story?
Go ahead.
It just came back to me. Okay. So I was a random winner of tickets to something somewhere, and I think I kept waiting to get like the tickets, and I never got them. And I think like the day before I wrote a note like, hey, I never got these tickets. Am I supposed to get tickets? And the event happened and I never got my tickets. And so I never did hear back or get any tickets, but it was announced I had won tickets.
Well, I apologize on behalf of
I'm
everyone.
not blaming you. Okay? I'm blaming Bedini. Okay, I'm blaming
Dave
Bedini.
Bedini is a fabulous individual, and I like working with him very much.
And the man can wear a pork pie hat. Is that what we call those hats? Pork pie? Okay, Victoria, here's the first tough question of the day, and we're going to get to know you much better. But would you like a burst from Great Lakes Brewery, or the octopus wants to fight, but it's the fighting weight? It's like a lower calorie version of the octopus wants to fight. Which of these delicious IPAs would you like to enjoy right now?
I know both of them. I'm a Great Lakes Beers fan, brewery fan, and I'm going to take the burst, please.
Okay, you're taking the burst, which
Thank
means
you.
I'm going to have the octopus wants to fight, the lower calorie version. So at the count of 3, we're going to pop this on the mic. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
There you
Okay,
go.
so cheers. Try not to spill it on my board here. Cheers to you, Victoria.
Cheers to you.
Who I met briefly at a wonderful event, and everybody should subscribe to the West End Phoenix. Tell me, what do you do with them now? Like, just give me a taste of what you do with the West End Phoenix. You help deliver the papers. What are you doing over there?
Well, I've been a writer for them in the past. I haven't done it for a little while, but I've submitted 6 or 7 columns, articles, pieces of material since the conception. I think it's a wonderful publication. I'm not biased. It's just a good publication.
Well, it's a publication. Like, stop right. It's an independent publication. How many of those are there being launched in this world?
It's fantastic. It's run very well by very good people. So I've written for them, and I'm a volunteer delivery person as well in the neighborhood near me.
Okay, are you a Florida Panthers fan?
I'm not. I mean, I appreciate them.
Well, you can't wear the shirt unless you're a fan. Isn't that the rule?
No, I can appreciate them, and I actually bought this at one of their Stanley Cup run games in Florida, so I think that's justified.
No, very, very good. You know, you gotta jump on these championship bandwagons because in Toronto they're few and far between. Although the Argos just won the Grey Cup, and then they had a rally at like Maple Leaf Square there, but you had to go like through gates or something. Like, it wasn't like in the public sphere. Like, you had to go through gates to get to this championship rally, and I thought that's interesting. Like, because you think of like the Raptors parade in 2019, like this is just public space where you show up as a citizen of the city, but like they had everyone, like, I guess due to numbers or whatever, but they just had everybody go through the gates and be part of this Maple Leaf Square.
Do you want my theory on that?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, is that the theory?
There's so much going on down there right now. I think that's just an issue with a little bit of crowd control and security and making sure people who wanted to go to this Argos rally were not necessarily misguided thinking it was some Taylor Swift event, because there's quite a few of them going on right now.
Could you imagine the Swifties end up at the Grey Cup?
Oh, you can be both.
Rally?
You can be both. I'm an Argos fan. I actually have my toque in my purse here right now.
Okay, I root for the Argos as well. So I'm actually going to ask you about a gentleman who's on the show recently, and then while you're talking, I'm going to turn off the dehumidifier I can hear in the background because I don't like to hear it during the recording. It's irritating me. So I had on this program Jeff Spindell. And so I met you at the West End Phoenix. I am aware of you on social media. I know who Victoria Matiash is. And then Jeff says, like, he goes back, way back in the day with you. So I'm wondering if you could share with us your history with Jeff Spindell.
Jeff Spindell today are very good pals. We remain so. About 20 years ago, we met at a radio station in Timmins, Ontario, and we worked together there. I was a co-host on one station. He was a co-host on a host at the sister station. And then we worked together, became really good pals. I eventually moved to Barrie, and he then followed me, and we co-hosted a show in Barrie on CHFM for, I'm going to say, 3 years, and we did the afternoon show together. And then we both migrated back down to Toronto. He went the music
Yeah, he went
Boom.
to Boom
That's right.
for many years.
And then I ended up at 1010, and they were both owned by Standard at that point in time. So we shared the same space at St. Clair. So we've traveled together for some time now.
So if you go back that far, did you work with humble Howard Glassman in that building?
No,
Or
I mean, not to my knowledge.
Okay, he might have been gone before you got there. Okay, so Jeff came over when he got the terrible news many a radio professional has got, and his services.
And myself included.
So, how many times in your broadcasting career have you been tapped on the shoulder and told your services are no longer required?
I was laid off only once, so I suppose a little bit more fortunate than many. That was 2019. It was one of my favorite jobs, unfortunately. I was doing sports updates on TSN Radio 1050 at the time. And it came from high above. I don't blame my program director. I know he was not happy about it either. But they removed the entire updates department.
I remember this.
So that was me. Well, me and several other people. And they also removed a bunch of people who covered the Raptors, which was interesting because the Raptors ended up winning the NBA championship that spring.
As we just talked about, I went to that parade. Yeah, it was.
So there was a few of us, upwards of 12 or 13 of us were let go simultaneously. It's one of those, it happens in corporate, private-owned media.
Well, it kind of happened this week. Okay. So,
yes, it did.
Maybe we'll dive into this. But it's interesting you and Jeff go back to Timmins. Like, that's sounds far. I don't know if I've ever been to Timmins, but like if I were to start driving to Timmins in my car right now, how long would that drive be?
8.5 to 9 hours.
Okay, that's why I've never been to Timmins. Okay, that sounds like, because I have to drive periodically. I have to drive to Montreal, and I think this is a very long drive I'm doing right now to Montreal, and that's not as far as going to Timmins here.
When you start driving back and forth to Timmins like I did, because my family is in Mississauga and in Toronto at the time, and that's where I came back to, when you start to do that, you'll go meet a friend in Kitchener for a cup of coffee, and it feels like nothing. Honestly.
Okay, that's the pro tip. You don't do it in one run. You just break it up like that. Okay, so Timmins, home of Shania Twain.
Yes.
Do I have that right? Okay. Although not really a Shania Twain. Like she's like an Eileen.
Well, she
that's a
was
fun
Eileen
fact.
born, yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So Eileen. Shout out to Eileen. Okay. Now, you mentioned Mississauga there. So you have family in Mississauga?
That's where I grew up.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you doing November 30th? It's like a Saturday. What are you doing at like noon to 3 p.m. on Saturday, November 30th?
I am flying to Quebec City for a long weekend.
You know, okay, so never mind. Okay, let me drink my Great Lakes here. Okay. So if anyone listening is not going to Quebec City, which sounds like it's going to be a lovely trip for you, come to Mississauga, Palma's Kitchen, November 30th from noon to 3 p.m. TMLX 17 is taking place. We're going to record live. If you had been in town, you could have had a free meal from Palma Pasta. You could have got a free beer from Great Lakes Brewery. You could have jumped on the mic and said hi to us. We would love to see you. But you're in Quebec City. You're going to have more fun than we're going to have.
I'm actually celebrating my 50th birthday.
All right, do you know what? We're the same age.
I'm 50 the following.
But you're
Tuesday.
born in 74.
That's right.
So am I. Okay, look, cheers to you again. Okay. So a lot of the, you know what? And Tyler Campbell, who took me to that West End Phoenix event where I met you, also turned 50 in 1974.
It's a good year, man.
Oh my, it's the best. Okay. So instead of getting that free Palma pasta at TMLX 17 on November 30th, like everybody else, I'll just give you a lasagna. Would you take home a lasagna? It's in my freezer right now.
It looks gorgeous. I absolutely
No, enough
would.
about me. How's the lasagna looking?
Yeah, the lasagna looks fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay, you got your lasagna. You also get the more beer. You're drinking a beer, but you're bringing home some beer from Great Lakes Brewery. More gifts later. Did you hear and this is going to tie into, because you're a sports person. Like, I want to talk to you about your sports media career, but also, as I was told by Mark Weisblot, you're delivering news on News Talk 1010. Like, that's not sporty. So what are your thoughts? And I know this will be tough for you. We're going to dive into the details of what you're doing at 1010. But just yesterday, we learned that 640, which is owned by Chorus, like gutted the news department. Dave Bradley remains, but pretty much they got rid of the 640 news department. They got rid of a couple of on-air personalities, made some changes here. How, like actual news people for radio stations are outside of 680, which is an all-news radio station. They're few and far between. Like, you're a dying breed.
It is certainly heading in that direction.
But you're here.
The nature of the industry. By the way, Dave Bradley is an excellent friend of mine. We worked together for 5 years in Barrie, and I worked together with him at 1010 before he moved over. He's actually he's the primary reason I started at 1010 back in 2013.
Okay, I met him at a GLB Brew Pub event when Amanda Cupido was the program director at 640.
I worked with her at 1010 too.
Okay, she was just here last week. She also can't make TMLX 17. Maybe she's going to Quebec City. I don't know. But Dave Bradley, I remember having him on the mic, and he seems like a great guy.
He's a fantastic person. He's an excellent broadcaster. He also works, again, with motorsports, which I'm sure you guys got into a little bit. So him and I think, have that in common. It's something that we went through together because I've known Dave Bradley for 20 years. We were both working in Barrie together. He was co-hosting the morning show. I was co-hosting the afternoon show with Jeff Spindell. This is a very small industry, Mike.
No, you really, that's
very
wild
small.
to me. These names, I'm like, I know these people.
And then he started covering motorsports for TSN and started at a smaller level, and now he's grown into that. And at the same time, I started my career at ESPN.com covering hockey in different formats. So we both had our side hustles, which have turned into much bigger things, also because we've both been very lucky. I also think we both work our behinds off. And so it's been, I'm actually having dinner with him in the next couple of days.
Okay, so we actually didn't get into the motorsport stuff because it wasn't his episode. He was like, it was everybody at this gathering.
Right.
So I had 20 voices on this thing. So I think I had 5 minutes with Dave, and we just talked about what he was doing at 640. But I would love to talk to him about more. Like, at some point, he should come over and do
He certainly should. He calls it NASCAR Canadian Tire Series on TSN, and he's excellent at it.
I don't know these. That's why you're here, Victoria. You're educating me here. But now I hear about ESPN. Like, I'm almost going to need some time to figure out all the gigs you've got because
I wear a lot of hats.
So let's start with
Many.
1010. Okay, let's start 1010. And then along the way we'll talk about just I just personally, I know 1010 had a news department, and that was gutted a couple years ago or something like that.
I worked at 1010. I started in 2013 part-time.
Okay.
And I filled in for other people. I did a lot of weekends, enjoyed it. Then got the opportunity after a few years to move over to TSN 1050 radio, which is my passion.
Right.
Sports instead of news. I enjoy doing news.
So if
Sports
you
is
were
my
queen
passion.
for a day, you'd be in sports media ahead of news media.
Yes, but there's more of a complicated answer to that. Sports is my passion. Sports is fun. I love writing about hockey and broadcasting about it at every opportunity. I'm co-hosting on Sirius NHL Network tomorrow between 1 and 3. I do a bunch of that. I appreciate my job in news broadcasting because I feel it is terribly important, and I take it as a great responsibility. So those are two very different animals in my life. I'm glad I have both of them. I don't know if I would want to do sports full time. You know what? That's crap. I would. But I found it difficult when I was doing news full time because it's a heavy gig.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important. You talk about a lot of nasty things. You see a lot of nasty things that the listeners do not get even a taste of. It all comes in. And I feel it a little bit too much at times. And so I was starting to burn out at 1010 a little bit. Kim Geddes, my very excellent news director, she opened the door for me to move over to 1050 because it's the same bell holding.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
And to start doing updates there. And I was really happy doing that. So I left 1010, started at 1050, like we talked about earlier, got downsized. Pandemic hit. They gutted the newsroom during this time at 1010, which didn't affect me. I was just doing my ESPN work. And then realized they needed to have a few more people do the news. So 3 years ago or so, I rejoined 1010. So this is my second stint.
Right.
And again, I work part-time and fill in where I can. That complements my hockey writing work and my hockey broadcasting work.
So when, like, I know Mark Weisblatt listens to 1010 24/7. Okay, so he's always catching it. But like, if I want to catch you delivering the news on 1010, there's not is that a regular thing? It depends. Like when
There isn't necessarily a regular thing. I'm broadcasting this weekend. I actually screwed up your invitation. It's next Saturday. I'm going to Quebec City. My calendar.
So you're
scrolled
coming
ahead.
to TMLX 17.
No, I'm actually broadcasting on 1010 all day. So it's still a no-go.
What a tease! I got really excited for a moment.
And next week I'm on afternoon run 2 or 3 days during the week. So it's here and there. It's all over the place. And I have an excellent boss there, and he works with my schedule with ESPN and what I'm doing on the NHL network, and it all sort of fits together. Not necessarily seamlessly every day, but we make it happen.
And how many of you are there at 1010 now?
In our newsroom?
Yeah.
I believe it's 4 right now.
Okay. And so I'm legit curious about this. So Bell owns other stuff. Like, I don't know if you know this, but Bell owns CTV. You'll find the great Siobhan Morris over there.
Okay, so here's the deal. We technically work the newsroom right now at Newstalk.
I need the real
1010.
talk here, Victoria. Let's go.
We work, well, I'm not telling any tales out of school. We, in the newsroom at 1010, technically work for CTV. I drive out to Angel Court. That's where our booth is.
Oh, so you're not at like...
I used to be. That was the first stint. Not this
299
one.
Queen.
Not
Okay.
anymore.
Okay.
I work with the CTV newsroom.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so we are employees of CTV. The rest, the hosts and the producers and everybody else is still based downtown Toronto.
Okay, so John Moore is at 299 Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And you're up in Agincourt delivering the news for CTV. Okay. See, I'm learning some things here. Okay. Very
It
cool.
works. We work remotely with each other. All the news people work with the hosts, and we figured out how to make it happen.
When do they have to get out of 299 Queen? Do you have any did you get any memos about that? Like, is there a departure date?
I probably should pay a little bit more attention to that than I do.
Have you checked your emails lately?
CB24 is migrating over now.
Okay.
So, but as far as the 1010 thing go, listen, I come in, I anchor the news. I probably have already explained things that are wrong. I come in, I anchor the news. I work with great people. We put on the product as best as we can.
You do. From all accounts, you're doing a great job. Now, okay, so you're doing 1010. So I'm just taking a list of things you're doing here. You also mentioned ESPN.com. So what are you doing at ESPN.com? How long you been writing there?
17 years.
Wow.
It's mainly fantasy hockey, although I have done NHL rumors. I did the draft blog, participate in roundtables and power rankings, and different. Every year is a little bit different, and I'm in my 17th year still with a lot of the same core people I started with, and it's a great gig.
Sounds like a cool gig.
It is. It really is.
Okay, so you get to sort of like flex the writing muscles. You're a good writer. You get to do that at ESPN.com, covering sports. Meanwhile, you get to broadcast the heavier stuff, the news. That's like 1010. Any other Bell Media properties that get to hear your great voice delivering the news, or is it strictly 1010?
No, it's strictly 1010. So the other broadcasting gig I do from time to time is on the NHL Network, which is a Sirius holding.
Okay, and do you do that in Liberty Village?
No, it's moved down to, it used to be.
I know, I remember it used to be there.
It is now King Street East.
Okay, so not enough time?
Okay, so Not Enough Time with Victoria Matiash is a segment that's on every Friday.
Okay.
And then on the rare occasion, I get to sub in and co-host a show when somebody else isn't able to do it because they're traveling or maybe they don't feel well or what have you. And that's tomorrow. I will be co-hosting Under Review with Jay Kahn.
Okay, who normally... Okay, so Jay Kahn is like...
Boomer's a regular and he needs the day off.
Okay, shout out, again, I'm curious, who else is at Sirius XM's NHL network there? Like, can you shout out some more personalities that...
Goodness, Gord Stellick and Scotty Laughlin.
Wait, Gord Stellick?
And Steve Koulias.
Yeah, I know this name.
There's a lot of hockey in the hockey community. A lot of heavy hitters there. It's a great station. I'm going to tell you quite honestly, no jerks. Honest to goodness.
Well, Stellick, I don't know Koulias. I hear about these guys, but I've met Stellick many times. He's been down here many times. Seems like a sweetheart. Like, just seems like a very nice man.
I don't know him very well, but yes, he's been incredibly nice to me.
You can get hours of Ballard stories out of him.
I imagine, yes. He's going to have intimate knowledge.
And if you just want, if he's like hanging around, you want to get him going, just ask him about the, the Courtnall trade. And then you can go off, do a bike ride or a fun run or something, come back and hear it wrap up. But get Stellick going there. Okay. So I'm taking notes. So 1010/CTV, you got that going on. You're writing at ESPN. We can hear you on the NHL network.
Here and there, yes.
Here and there, yeah. And when I said not enough time, I meant I don't have enough time to cover your bio here. No, just kidding. So the not enough time on Sirius XM. Here's one I really want to dive into before we touch with the industry here. Pucks in 7. Tell me everything about Pucks in 7.
That's my hockey podcast. So we started Ryan Payton, who's also a broadcaster at the NHL Network. He hosts a Hot Stove on Saturdays, and he also fills in a bunch of different, lot more than I do. And we met up about 5 years ago through media. He invited me to be a guest on his show. So Victoria Matiash, ESPN, as a guest on his show. And we hit it off, and I became a regular on his show and his different shows. And then 3 years ago, we decided to start our own podcast together. And so we're in our 3rd year now.
So this is an independent podcast.
It's the two of us.
You guys own this thing.
We do.
Okay, smart. Okay, and how often do you drop new episodes?
We are at least once a week. If things are pressing and time permitting, we like to do 2. We started on video this year. We used to be strictly audio, and now we're on YouTube.
But you're too good
well.
looking for that.
Thank you very much.
They said,
cheers to you.
They said, get yourself on a camera. What are you doing?
Well, there's an audience on YouTube. So that was the deal, right? Instead of why limit yourself? And we also opened our show to guests this year, and we had Mike Keenan on. We've had Ken
He's
Danico.
Making the rounds. Okay, Ken Danico.
Yeah, we had Ken Danico for an hour a couple of weeks ago, and I could have had him on for 5. The stories that guy has. He's also very lovely, but he's a great storyteller, and he told us some bangers. That one was great.
You got to get Stellick on that program.
Oh, you know what? Probably will happen at some point. We also talked to a bunch of beat reporters from around North America covering different teams to get the insight that we're not privy to. So
you're fiercely independent. So you and Ryan are rolling this yourself, Pucks in 7, and you're at least once a week. And
at least once a week.
And
yes.
is NHL or is it hockey? Like, is it an NHL focused program?
It's NHL focused, but we will talk about the PWHL when it's worth talking about, which it often is these days, for sure.
What do you think of Toronto's nickname?
Oh, I don't love it, but like most things, it would not have been my first choice. Scepters would not have been my first choice. I will say this, like most things in life, you're going to get used to it. And then in a year from now, you'll ask me and I probably will say it's great.
Well, we all hated the Raptors nickname.
I didn't.
You like it? See, I wanted Huskies.
I wanted Towers.
I remember Towers being, because tall people play basketball.
Also, there's a damn tower, right?
I've seen that tower.
Hard not to.
My 8-year-old thinks that tower is like it follows us everywhere because basically everywhere in the city, almost everywhere, unless you're getting blocked from something really close there, you can see that damn tower everywhere. Can you imagine the city without that tower?
I have the poorest sense of direction. I will absolutely admit
need the
that.
tower.
You need the tower just to figure out which direction you need to be walking in Toronto. And it has helped me more than 10, 20, 30 times.
Somebody asked me I was biking downtown and some visitor was asking me, how do you get to the aquarium? And I think I pointed to the tall thing
to
and I
the
said,
tower.
just make your way to that tall thing and
Yeah.
you can't miss it or whatever. It's like a beacon or whatever. Yeah, towers. I remember that being one of the front runners. Like I remember because you and I are the same age, so I can have this chat that we were kind of a perfect age to get an NBA franchise. Like I guess we're about 20 years old or something, and then we're getting an NBA team, and like it's like, oh my God, like we don't have to just root for Michael Jordan and the Bulls anymore. Like we're gonna have our own team here. Like that was amazing.
It was interesting. I think it would have hit me a little bit harder had I been in Toronto, but I went to the University of Western Ontario.
Right.
So you felt a little bit of a disconnect, but it was still on television. You're getting to know these players, and it's and to see how far they've come.
So they went with Raptors, which I felt was like a Jurassic Park reflex, like most people. But like you mentioned a moment ago, you just like at some point it's like that's just the name, and then you can't even think of them as anything else. So I'm sure the Toronto Scepters will be like that. I can't spell Scepters, so I hope I can pronounce it right. I did get notes when it was first announced from TMU students who wanted to talk to me about whether it was, and I don't know why they want to talk to me, except I think they searched and I was writing about it on my blog or something, and they found me, but whether it was like a tribute to colonialism. Have you heard this one? Because it's scepters is like a queen holds a scepter, and maybe this is offensive
there
to some
are
people.
undertones to showing tribute to the royal heritage, of course.
Right.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right.
So, but I love I love the Minnesota Frost. I think that name is absolute kick ass. And I think the other names in the league are pretty solid too. And I think Scepters is fine, just would not have been my first choice. But I'm really looking forward to the season starting. I'm really excited about it.
They could have called it the Toronto Towers, PWHL team. Okay, and Ryan's a good guy?
Ryan's excellent. Yeah, we're really good friends. Yeah, he's a fantastic broadcaster and he's a better person.
Do you find there's a lot of Ryans in the broadcasting industry, like more in the broadcasting world than maybe in the general public?
What is it compared to Mike's and Dave's? No.
Okay. No, right. Mike is number one, but I feel
Right.
like Ryan is, I don't know, it feels like there's a lot more Ryans than I remember growing
I worked
up.
in a News Talk 1010 newsroom that had 5 guys and 3 of them were named Dave. So, no, Ryan doesn't strike me as particularly prolific.
All right, good point there. These are the Daves I know.
There were quite a few. No, 4. Sorry, 4 Daves. Not even counting properly.
Yeah, Dave Bradley. Okay, who gonna get his own episode. So, okay, so you're at 1010 and then you move over to 1050 TSN radio. But over on the other guys at 590, I'm curious if you know about Jeff Merrick's new podcast. Jeff Merrick, and then I have a further question, but Jeff Merrick is a famous hockey analyst.
I know who Jeff Merrick is, yes.
No, I know. But he's a famous, I'm not saying you don't know who Jeff Merrick is, but he's a famous hockey analyst who has now got a podcast. Like, do you ever feel like, here I am with Pucks in 7, doing a great job of Ryan, and then these big famous, nationally famous analysts just kind of come on your turf? Like, doesn't feel fair.
It has to be a labor of love. If you're getting into this on any level and you understand what the competition is, it has to be a labor of love. Any sponsorship, and we do have some right now, not big potatoes, but we are sponsored.
Well, do you want to shout them out? You can shout them out.
Oh, Sprott Money, absolutely.
So what do they do at Sprott Money?
It's
oh, I see Sprott, like a misspelling of sport.
Sprott.
Right.
So it's a family name, and so you can invest in actual gold and silver. So it's an investment firm of sorts. And they have an excellent reputation. They're based in Toronto. They've been around. But you can actually, what we were interested in bringing in sponsorship that you could order through North American wide, because we do have listeners in the U.S. We have listeners in other parts of Canada. So we didn't want to be, the restaurant down the street. That's not going to help us. And so that partnership has been rewarding, but it has to be a labor of love. You're not getting into this unless you're a Jeff Merrick or an Elliot Friedman or somebody like in the hockey world, at least. if you're a smaller potato like I am, you better really enjoy it. I would do it for free. It's nice to do it for a little more than free, but you do it for free.
Okay, and serious question right now, not even tongue in cheek, but did you think for a moment that I thought maybe you didn't know who Jeff Merrick was?
No, I didn't. Just the way you're going. You know, he's a hockey guy. I know who he is.
No, 'cause
I've met him on several occasions. Yes. Good dude.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. Okay, because I just had a conversation with a radio veteran named Dave Charles. He was actually one of the guys who started Q107 back in the late 70s. And Dave Charles was recommending, he said, hey, have you ever had, and he goes, have you ever had Bob McCowan on your podcast? And then he went on to explain who Bob McCowan was.
Right.
And then I felt like, Dave, yeah, I know who Bob McCowan is. Like, I felt like kind of like offended almost, like he's explaining to me who Bob McCowan is as if I might not know that name or whatever. And then I thought for a moment, like maybe Victoria feels what I felt when Dave Charles was asking me if I know Bob McCowan. Maybe she thought I was mansplaining to her who the hell Jeff Merrick is.
Not at all.
Okay. So Jeff Merrick, though, does have a new podcast. And it's like yet another. I just find that a lot of these, like I'll call Jeff a celebrity. So these famous people pop in, and then us guys on the ground. I'm not saying you're not famous, but we're not Jeff Merrick famous on nationwide Hockey Night in Canada, et cetera, et cetera. There's another one to compete, and I know it's not. We're all in it for the love of the game, but it is.
But here's what we do, Mike. We put together the best content we possibly can. We put together the best, most entertaining product we possibly can, right? So, and we take it from there. That's all we can do.
Do you know Ashley Docking?
Yes.
Are you friends with her?
No, I'm not. No, but I know who she is.
Okay, so
I'm not friends with her. I don't know her personally.
So why do you hate Ashley Docking,
Right,
Victoria?
yeah.
That's what I'm looking for
yeah,
here.
just
Okay.
make sure you take some clips from this and post it on social media
I never
out
do
of
that.
context.
No, that clip sounds like work.
No,
It
I
sounds
know
like
who
work.
Ashley Docking is. Yes.
Okay, because when she came over, it was like I think the first week that Paul Mapasta was sponsoring the show. So I didn't really. I was still figuring out how to like present it or whatever. Now I just like you got a free lasagna in my freezer. That's what I do now. But I remember telling her how to prepare it. Like it's just like something to say when I was giving it like 45 minutes at 375, and then she did get upset at me for mansplaining how to make a lasagna. So that happened on this program with Paul Mapasta and.
Well, did you learn your lesson?
Yes, I stopped telling people how to make their damn lasagna. I'm like, there's a label. You read it yourself. What am I reading? I read the liner notes. You can read the label notes and figure it out yourself here. So, will you be? Are you curious about Merrick's new podcast? Like, will you?
I haven't listened to it yet, but yes, I will.
I think it's super. If it even exists, it might be like today. Like it might have dropped today. Like this is super fresh. So I don't know how many people have got it. Do you know the name Mike Gross? Speaking of Mikes.
I know a Mike Gross.
Okay.
But he lives in Arizona.
He has a question for you. This guy, oh yeah, so he is that's the Mike. Okay, so Mike Gross says, I have a question for Victoria Matiash. How does someone who lived in Phoenix for the last couple of decades deal with this? And then he attached a picture of like a snowstorm, basically.
Okay, Mike Gross is a sportscaster in Arizona, and he has a radio show, and I have been a guest representing ESPN on his show many times, to the point that we developed a relationship, and when I visited Arizona, he took me out for beers. We had a wonderful time. And he, as any hockey fan will know, Arizona lost their hockey team last year. They're now in Utah. And he's not happy about it, like any fan of any team losing a team would not be. And so he's been shopping around for a new NHL team to support because it's not going to be Utah.
So that's a great question before we get back to Mike there is why not Utah? Because they stole your team? Like you're mad at them?
If the Toronto Maple Leafs moved to Utah, would you support them? The answer is no.
No, I'd probably root for them to lose every game.
Okay. So that's his perspective as well. So he's been talking to me, maybe I should jump on the Toronto Maple Leafs bandwagon, and I've put back to him, are you in for another 2 decades of heartbreak after this? Because, that's been the trend for decades. And I will not abandon the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I still can appreciate reality until it changes. And we also have the weather issue. So we would do hits different times of the year, and we compare the temperature and whatever was going on weather-wise. And as you can imagine, Phoenix and Toronto, there's a bit of a discrepancy.
I can imagine. Although with climate change, I feel like we have fewer and fewer of these snowy days.
We're not there yet, though.
we gotta do a little graphing and see how that's working out. So thank you, Mike Gross.
Good dude.
Okay, good. I like Mike's. Like I try to like Mike's. Do you root for Victoria's? Like when you hear there's another Victoria, do you start off with a warm fuzzy because hey, we share the first name?
It's never crossed my mind one way or
You don't spend time thinking about these things.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, Mike, I liked you right away because I said there's another Mike. I got to root for this guy. Melanie Jepp. Jepp has 2 P's in it. I have a million questions for Victoria. She's awesome. So this is funny to me because she writes, I have a million questions for Victoria. She's awesome. I can't wait to listen to the interview. So she has a million questions, but she doesn't ask any of them. Like, ask one of those million questions, right? There's no questions from Melanie. She just thinks you're awesome and can't wait to listen.
That's very nice to hear. And she's supposing you're going to check all the boxes. So there you go.
Well, Melanie, okay, so I understand there's a lot of questions, but maybe just pick one, even if it's at random. Pick one question, but okay. There's a guy on Twitter, and then remind me to get back to Twitter. I want to ask you about Blue Sky and Twitter, okay? So Phil Sims, don't let me forget. You're my co-host here. Phil Sims is this person's name. This person has been very excited about your visit, but all these tweets at me are all caps. I find it it's a bit disconcerting. Like Phil is yelling at me. Have you ever been tweeted at by a Phil Sims?
He's a big supporter of our podcast. We like Phil very much.
Okay, cap locks though. Phil, I love the support and the passion, but you don't have to yell at me with this. Okay, so Phil says, as always, Victoria will definitely do the Dawn thing. It's just what she does. Oh no, do the damn thing. I got my glasses on. Do you have to wear glasses now? Ever?
Readers, yes.
Yeah, thank you. For me, it's because at 50, that's where we're at now. Because this is a new phenomenon for me, but that's not Dawn. That's damn. I'm going to do it again. As always, Victoria will definitely do the damn thing. It's just what she does. My question to Victoria, and I feel like I could go for a bike ride during this one, but let's hear you answer it. In her opinion, who are the top 10 NHL teams of all time?
No, I'm not working here right now.
Jeez, he wants a list right now, like a listicle.
Different iterations of Detroit Red Wings and Oilers and
There's
Islanders.
an Oilers team, there's an Islanders
There's going to be Boston back in the Sure, no, we're not.
Montreal Canadiens in the 70s.
I need that assignment for an hour or so.
We'll do it together.
Start jotting them down. It's we appreciate Phil a lot. He's been a loyal listener to the podcast for quite some time. He's been very supportive. So Ryan and I very much appreciate
Big Sims heads here.
We appreciate his listenership big time.
Since we're the same age, maybe you will have the same thought that it's got to be that before Gretzky's sold to the Kings, like that Oilers team. Like think about that lineup, that Oilers team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Paul Coffey back there. You got Gretzky, you got Messier, you got Jari Kurri, you got Grant Fuhr in net. That's the answer.
And then they broke up the band.
Then they couldn't afford to have such a good team in Edmonton, and but they did win another cup.
Well, there's still some debate about that, but sure.
Well, let's talk about that. Okay.
No,
So
I'm off the clock, man.
Peter
I wrote all
Pocklington.
morning. Yeah, it's gonna be some Pocklington talk.
You're not off the clock, Victoria. You're here on the mics right now. You're on the clock. There's no wrong answers here, but love your input, Phil Sims, and Victoria is not going to answer that question. But it's probably
Not today, but we can tell Phil right now. One time, Ryan and I will address that properly because that's a fun topic to tackle.
Yeah, you need these listicles or whatever because they fill up time debating, and there's no wrong answer, right?
I think it's only somewhat subjective. There are wronger answers. Here's this is one of my mantras.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be correct, but you can't be a dum-dum.
Well, sometimes that's my brand, right? Dum dum. Okay. You have a presence on Twitter, which is now called X. I'm going to burp because I'm drinking the beer. Did you ever burp on Pucks and 7?
I haven't yet, no.
Do you drink beer during the recording?
No.
That's why. Okay. Don't drink beer.
More
during
of a coffee
You'll burp.
thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Morning recordings here. I had one this morning. Coffee is the way to go for sure. So you have a presence on X. Victoria Matiash is your handle, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you considered taking your brilliance to the Blue Sky app?
I have registered my name and an account there. I just did that in the last few days. It seems like that's becoming more of a trend. I can't abandon X yet. It's too useful to me in my work. So I believe there probably will be some overlap. I have to spend some time and develop my account and follow the people I want to continue to follow, because I have noticed a lot of the presence that I've appreciated on X has already moved over. So you have to adjust, you have to evolve, and that's definitely a project for the next little while for sure. But that's going to take some time. You have to sit down and look people up and follow this person, follow that person.
But you tell people on X, I'm now here, and you'll see how quickly a lot of those people are on both.
I just need to do it. That's it.
Well, so what I did, thank you for asking, Victoria. What I did
What did you do, Mike? What did you do?
Ryan, there's no threat. Don't worry. Okay. So there's no Mike and Victoria show coming. But I am strictly promo only on X right now. Like, it's promo only. So I will tweet that you visited, and here's the episode. Here's what we talked about. I will tag you on the tweet. That tweet will happen. But that tweet will also happen in Blue Sky.
Right.
And Blue Sky is getting all the original content, the non-promo stuff. I was listening to a song today that reminded me of Big Bad Wolf from Teen Wolf. Like, these off the cuff observations, that's just Blue Sky stuff now. Like, if you want that stream of consciousness thought or whatever, or fun facts or mind blows or whatever, I'm not giving that to X anymore. X is promo only.
Well, Blue Sky sounds like what Twitter used to be.
Right, before the Nazis showed up.
Okay. So Blue Sky sounds like what Twitter used to be. No, it's a cesspool now. I don't enjoy it that much anymore either.
I hate even looking at it. I'm just trying to recruit you is what I'm trying to do.
And you're doing a good job, actually. This is something I need to spend some time on. Absolutely. There's no question of that. I can't abandon X right now. I follow too many beat reporters. There's too much news that comes up in hockey. It's a news feed to me. So beyond just the straight promo of our podcast and what I'm doing,
right,
then it's just useful. This morning, Sammy Silver tweeted out who's filling in for Ovechkin on the top line with the Washington Capitals.
And that's not on Blue Sky.
Well, until she moves over, and then I'll make sure I'm going to follow her there too. So those are, again, it's such a valuable news feed to me that until
okay, so let's reach a
abandoned.
compromise here today, or I'm not going to fill that box of lasagna. So Victoria, what if you promote on X and you consumed, you can read people's tweets on the app formerly known as Twitter, but you also started a Blue Sky. You said you started one, but you can start to post the same promo stuff you're doing on X, copy and paste it over to Blue Sky for a while, and then do more additional outbound messaging on Blue Sky. So you can tell the X people, hey, I'm also on Blue Sky now, and it's me and more, but you can maintain. I'm not telling you to delete the thing. I understand people like you and I, we still need that presence on Twitter because a lot of people are just only there. So you don't have to delete it. You don't delete your account, but just start to give more to Blue Sky, and then just put your toes in the water, see how it feels.
It sounds like a very reasonable plan. Are you on Instagram?
Do I have your? I'm promo only on Instagram too. I only enjoy.
See, I enjoy Instagram.
Oh, interesting. I don't enjoy Instagram. Huh. Okay. So where's your most active spot in the social media universe? Is it Twitter or is it Instagram?
For what?
Like are you okay? Because are you saying
personal?
Personal, sure. That's
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
I'm still a Facebook gal.
But when it comes to Pucks in 7 or
it's on all of it.
It's all
it goes everywhere. But what we really enjoy with Instagram is we post a 1-minute clip of our show, which we post on Twitter as well. But I'm going to tell you something right now. We get a lot more traction on Instagram. A lot more.
Okay. Because Instagram likes the visual. I think they like there's a video. They like pictures and video.
I'm going to speak anecdotally as well. Just a lot of people I know, and this is an age range from early 20s to my age to older, have migrated, especially those who don't work in media, and this is strictly for pleasure, this is strictly for entertainment, have migrated in a certain fashion away from Twitter to Instagram. And still everybody sort of holds on to Facebook because our family's there and etc. And Facebook is still king. The numbers are still king on Facebook. So
okay, don't fuck with Zuckerberg. Okay. When you were at 1010 the first round,
right?
I'm gonna be a bouncing.
No, you're getting in the rhythm of it, Mike. I like it. First round at 1010, yeah.
So that's when they had a 1010 newsroom.
That's right.
Okay. Not many people in that newsroom ever paid a visit, but Siobhan Morris dropped by a couple of times. Were you friendly, or are you friendly?
We
with
remain
Siobhan
friends to this day, yes.
To this day.
We have socialized. We spend time together. I like Siobhan very much.
Okay, I feel like her timing was impeccable. So I feel like she got out. What I mean by get out, she didn't get out of Bell Media, but she got out of the 1010 newsroom at the perfect time, I want to say. And then she starts working at CTV, let's say. I think it was CTV.
She started at CP24 first.
So she's at CP24 before 1010. Okay, but then she's in this 1010 newsroom when I'm talking to her on Toronto Mic'd a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
But then she leaves for CTV News, I believe, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't immediate. She did CP24 and then she did CTV Barrie, and she did that
Right.
for a while, and then she came back and now she's the Queen's Park bureau chief.
But when
for
they
CTV
decided
News.
to flush the
She wasn't
1010
around for
newsroom,
that,
she's
yes.
not there anymore, but she's still in the company doing what she wants to do. I think that's good timing. That's probably the opposite of what you did when you went to 1050. That was bad timing, because you get to 1050, a pandemic shows up, and they're like, we're gonna flush these update people.
The timing wasn't great, no.
So she's the opposite. She had that was good luck timing for Siobhan Morris.
I think Siobhan always should have been on TV in the first place, and those were her goals, and she's excellent at it. So I don't think the timing was orchestrated at all, but it certainly has worked in her favor,
but
right?
you can have Lady Luck shine smile upon
There's
you.
nothing wrong with good fortune. Absolutely not. So
You've had the good fortune of in your career here, and
for sure. Absolutely, I have.
so look, you have so many jobs. Okay, we ran down a bunch of them, but you've got several jobs. Why not give one or two to Jeff Spindell? Jeff just needs a couple of jobs. I know he's actively looking for a gig. He got bad luck when Boom, I guess they cut payroll. Why not give him a couple?
Jeff is excellent in the music radio industry, and that's
You
his
don't have any
jam.
music radio
Jobs? No.
job.
No.
Do you listen to music?
Yes, but not enough to make a point of it. Yes, I turn on the radio and listen to music. I'm still more talk radio and sports radio above all else.
When you turn on the radio and listen to music, what station are you turning on?
If I'm
You didn't know you're
listening,
getting these hard-hitting questions, Victoria.
if I'm listening to satellite or terrestrial radio.
Both. Let's do both. Let's start with satellite, and then tell me if you're in a car or something. That
I like
doesn't have satellite.
I like the '90s grunge stuff, just because that was.
Is that lithium radio?
Yes, lithium. Channel 34 in my car. I enjoy that. That was the coming of age stuff. It's what I was listening to when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. Your formative years as a music listener. So that would be in the car. I do like Boom still. I listened to it last now because of what they did to my bud.
Right.
But
you'll listen to
I'll
a
also
little
put together
Maypops or something.
absolutely. But I'll also put together my own playlists when I'm when I'm in a certain groove and want to listen to a particular artist or a particular theme or a genre or anything like that.
All right, so you're singing my song here, Victoria. So when we're going back to, I don't know, early 90s or whatever, and you're listening to the alt rock stuff, do you prefer the grunge or the Britpop?
No. Give me the grunge.
Give you the grunge.
Give me my Alice in Chains. Give me my Pearl Jam. Give me my Soundgarden. Give me all of that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Look at us.
That's the stuff.
Okay.
Flannels and Doc Martens, man.
No, this is amazing. You and I, we're on fine. You know what? It took, let me see what time. I got to timestamp this, okay? It took us 43 minutes, but here we are. I'm just happy to see you. Pearl Jam or Nirvana, if you could only have one artist's catalog for the rest of your life.
I'm still going to go Pearl Jam because of the 10 album. It was the most ultimate flat back-to-back classic for me at that time. I probably wouldn't feel the same way if I listened to it at the first time when I was 45, but listening to it for the first time at that age, and that's no disrespect to Nirvana. They're incredible as well, but I would do Pearl Jam first.
I'm a huge, I like both those bands. I don't know how to choose, but Pearl Jam's got a much larger catalog, so maybe there's a lot more content there. But 10 is amazing. And of course, 10 has a sports tie to it. Of course, the name 10.
Mookie Blaylock.
Correctamundo. Those guys love their basketball. They wanted to be called Mookie Blaylock.
And they couldn't because there's a guy named Mookie Blaylock who played in the NBA.
Yeah, well, that's why they wanted to be Mookie Blaylock. But do you have a favorite song on 10?
Oh, boy!
And why is it black?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's Porch.
You know what? Porch is excellent.
What the fun will give it to you, baby. Leave a message.
Porch doesn't get enough. Porch doesn't get enough jam.
They don't play it on the radio very often at all. But
That's what I'm saying.
No, you're 100% right. And they, my favorite version of Porch might be the unplugged MTV Unplugged version. And in fact, I know they never released this as an album. Like you got to get the bootleg. Like there is no, like unlike the very popular Nirvana Unplugged in New York, there is no album you can go. You can't just go to. I was going to send you to Sam the Record Man, but they're not around anymore. But you can't go to the music shop and buy the Pearl Jam Unplugged because they never released it.
Bet you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, you can probably find it on YouTube.
I
for sure.
spiral down those rabbit holes, Mike. Oh my goodness. If I'm procrastinating, especially with my writing a little bit, I'm just putting it off because the deadline is not sitting right on my head. And I start on YouTube and start looking up songs and different performances, and the unplugs always get me.
Love them. And Alice in Chains has a very good Unplugged too.
Alice in Chains should have lasted longer, and we all understand
he was a heroin
why.
addict. It fucked up the
But
program.
the music, Facelift, that album, Dirt.
I'm a dirt guy. I'm a dirt guy for sure. But they're all, I love Alice in Chains. It's got that, that
Also,
plotting.
he could sing like a son of a gun, so there's that too.
And he's in Singles. But so is Eddie, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so is Chris Cornell, as I think about it. Let's watch Singles together. Would you watch Singles with me?
Do you think it would hold up?
And there's a basketball tie-in because when the guy wants to last longer in bed, right, he thinks of the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel, on the
Don't
Supersonic.
come yet, Steve.
Correct. It's either that or Steve don't come.
It's
Don't
some
come yet.
variation on that.
Steve don't come yet. The X-Men, yeah, the Supersonics. Are they going to get an NBA team again? I know you're the hockey expert. I'm just asking you.
Seattle?
Yeah,
Probably.
probably. It's kind of a shame because every time I hear the Ice Cube song, I remember that the Lakers beat the Supersonics, and then I remember, that ain't going to happen again here. The one song on 10 that I skip today is actually Jeremy. Like I actually feel like that one was overexposed.
It was such an iconic video during our time that if you had access to much music, it was just on every 12 minutes. So there's probably something to be said for that. If it got a little less airtime, then we might appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah, between 102.1 The Edge and Much Music, there was a lot of Jeremy. I got sick of it, even though I love that band very much. But they made an edit to that video after it was initially released. You know this? Like, so the initial edit makes it clear that Jeremy's not shooting up the classroom. Jeremy's killing himself in front of the classroom. This is obvious from a shot with, like, he has a gun to his head or something. But they took that frame out of the video, and it becomes more ambiguous. Like, it's not I don't think it's obvious to a new viewer if you had some 20-year-old who had watched the video for Jeremy. It's not obvious that Jeremy takes his own life in front of the class. You may think Jeremy is shooting up the class. Like, all you see is the blood on the blood splatter. But the initial version of the Jeremy video made it very clear Jeremy was going to shoot himself in the head in front of his class.
It's very dark material, yes.
Here we are. Let's break down the Jeremy video from 1991. What do you think of Soundgarden?
Oh, yeah. They're right up there with Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam as well. Another huge loss to the music industry with the death of Chris Cornell. And I've seen Soundgarden, I'm going to say 3 or 4 times live. They put on a heck of a show. I was 18 or 19 when I saw them on Exhibition Grounds. And it was incredible because Chris Cornell came out and he had just shaved his head and nobody knew.
Wow.
Because he had the locks that were like
it was his thing.
right down to his waist. And it came out and everybody went, and that Pearl Jam played in that show as well. It was that was quite a concert back in the day. But I
Was
could
that at
listen to him.
Lollapalooza?
No, this
No.
is I've seen them at Lollapalooza,
Okay.
but this was on Exhibition Grounds. I can actually tell you the year.
Okay,
92,
92.
summer of 92.
Okay, so in 92, so 10 comes
No,
out in
I'm
91.
lying. 93.
93. Okay. I'm trying to think of when Versus comes out. It might have been 93 for Versus. Okay, but they're already a going concern. And I don't know when you get into Soundgarden, but for me it was Bad Motorfinger. Like, Bad Motorfinger had Jesus Christ Pose on it, and that song blew my fucking brains out. Like, it was unbelievable. Bad Motorfingers. The whole thing's pretty good of Rusty Cage and all that, but
Rusty Cage is great, yes.
Johnny Cash has a good cover of that too, as I think. But Jesus Christ Pose, just hook that to my veins.
It's a very frenetic song. Yeah.
And now you stare at me in your Jesus Christ pose.
It's one of those songs you can't turn off in the middle of. If you're sitting in your car and you're listening to it and you're parked, you listen to the end because you just can't possibly turn it off.
But it gets your heart going, right? Like I'm
That's
even
what I
now,
mean.
yeah, even now
It's
talking
got to
about
bring
it
you
with
back.
you.
It's got to bring you back down before it ends, for sure.
Okay, you'll call 911 if I have a heart attack or something right now, will you?
Oh, 100%.
Because we're recording this and people will know you just walked away. She's gone. Mike just dies. Mike dies. And who's going to publish this?
Please don't have a heart attack.
Who's going to I'm just so excited by Jesus Christ, but who's going to publish this episode? So, okay, so when you do your Pucks in 7, a fiercely independent podcast of Ryan Payton. Payton?
Peyton.
Okay, I almost said Patton, but there's only one T. Payton. Okay. Payton's Place was a show we're too young to appreciate. But okay. Who handles the technical aspect?
He does. So we both bring different things to the table, but he primarily handles the technical. I'm not going to even say primarily. He handles the technical aspect of it. So that works for us.
Are you in the same room, or you do it remotely?
We did the first year. We did it together a lot, and I always find it's better radio when you're sitting and you're looking at somebody, and you can have the conversation. But then over time, in terms of recording and bringing in guests and doing things in different ways and bringing video into it. So we do that remotely now. We're looking at each other, obviously, and we use Riverside. We look at each other through Riverside, and that's how we do it.
Okay, very good. What's next for you here? You're turning 50 any minute now. Checking my watch. Are you 50 yet? Almost
9 days or so, something like that. Yeah.
We would have sang happy birthday to you at TMLX 17. But you won't be there, so you don't get that wonderful feature of FOTM singing happy birthday in harmony. But what, like, you got, I'm worried about your 1010 gig because I don't know why. I just feel like anybody working in news is going to be chopped.
Listen, I have several fabulous gigs. I'm freelance.
You can lose one or two.
No. That's not where I'm taking this. Yeah. I enjoy all of them for different reasons. I'm freelance. I have no pension, no benefit program, nothing with any of them. I do have a contract with 1010. I'm part-time. I'm on that. I have a contract. Everything else is freelance. When I write a piece for the West End Phoenix, it's freelance.
Sure.
When I do anything, it's freelance. But I have all these balls in the air, and I like it. I like it for my personality. I'm restless in general. I like to keep busy and I like to do different things. The idea of sitting in an office from 9 to 5, even doing something I relatively enjoy, appeals to me none whatsoever. If it all goes away tomorrow, and it could, and I recognize this, 17 years at ESPN, they owe me nothing. I'm over 10 years at 1010, grateful for all the work there. I love all the hockey work I do. It can all end tomorrow. I understand that. And I will go back to tending bar like I did in my early 20s because I enjoyed doing that, and that is fine.
This is the right attitude to have, Victoria, because it's a gig economy. You got a bunch of gigs. You're like you said, it suits your personality. You like to do different things.
I enjoy it very much.
We're not that dissimilar. I don't have any dental plan.
Now my spouse does, so that helps. So I get to go to the
my
dentist.
spouse opted out. Not the dental plan.
I'm sorry about that.
She didn't. No, not the dental plan. She opted out of the drug plan. And so there's no drug plan. And as you'll probably learn in 10 days, I think it is, we qualify at 50 for the shingles vaccination.
Hot diggity, can't wait.
I went to my doctor, I turned 50. I go, okay, so what happens when you turn 50? She goes, okay, there's only 2 things. Like, I don't know if she has a list or whatever. 2 things click in at 50. You can get a colonoscopy, which I didn't need because I had one already. And she said you can get the shingles vaccine. And I'm like, oh yeah? And she goes, yeah, like it's covered for 65 plus. But at 50, you can get it. You just got to pay out of pocket if you don't have a health plan or whatever. And I literally did this last week. This was the big thing I did. I went and I paid out of pocket because my wife, for whatever reason, she did the math, which is good. I guess you're supposed to do the math. She did the math and opted out. So this is now I'm all my my meds and my shingles vaccine. This like coughing up cash.
Are we going to talk about mammograms now? Because that's
when do they kick in? Is that 50? Isn't that earlier?
So it just went earlier. So it used to be 50, and they just lowered the age, which is a very wise thing.
I love talking about mammograms. There's a Simpsons joke. I think Bart Simpson, there's a T-shirt, and Bart Simpson's saying, "Get a mammogram, man."
Okay.
And every time I hear mammogram, I think of Bart Simpson saying, "Get a mammogram, ma'am." Ma'am? I think he says man. Okay, so what age does it kick in now? You said 50?
This is horrible. I really should know this. It used to be 50, and I was looking forward to doing that. Unless if you have issues and you request one for good reason, you get one. Okay.
Right.
I believe now it has either dropped to 45 or 40. My guess is 45. Somebody's going to tweet or blue sky you and tell me that I'm incorrect. I apologize in advance. But they did just lower the age, and I think that was a very good call.
Okay, someone is on the live stream, so you can fact check this, J-Ho, but he's saying that's the episode when The Simpsons sold out, was the they sold out, and the merchandise, they put their logo on everything, and one of the things they were selling out to do is get a mammogram, man. So you're looking forward to this mammogram?
No, in what sense?
I don't know. This time I gotta tap out of this one. Like, it's important.
In terms of acting as an adult and taking a responsible route, yes, I am.
Are you gonna
in
get
terms of actually having the procedure done? Not so much. Rather do other things. But it is definitely a necessity. That's for sure.
Are you gonna get the shingles vaccination?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, because that's like a non-gender thing. Okay, so. Okay, it's about $200. You got to get two of them, okay? But you got it.
Yeah, but my
like
spouse has a drug plan.
Okay, okay? I need to hook up with your spouse. Okay, that's what I need to do. I need these things covered. This is ridiculous here. How do you feel about turning 50?
Fine.
Like it's just a number. You don't have any like, oh my God, I'm getting older and now my back's gonna.
I felt more weird about it a couple of years ago than I do now. I don't know why that is.
What changed?
I'm not sure. Time probably solves most things. Just approaching it now, I think also too, a lot of my friends have reached it and passed it, and they are exactly the same. It's one of those, unlike 40, 50 were your parents, and 50 were your parents when you were a teenager or older. Right. It's not like they were your parents when you were a kid. So right. now you're older, and I think that was a little bit stuck in my head for a while, and it isn't anymore.
Okay, very good. So you're happy with what you're doing in the gig economy, and you wouldn't change anything here. And
I'd like more money. Can we arrange that? Everybody can pay me a little bit more.
Does your spouse have a good gig? Do you live with your spouse? This is a husband? I don't know. Is it
yes, I've been Larry and I've been together for 25 years.
I like the name Larry.
Do you? Yeah. Larry and I've been together for 25 years. We've been married for 14, but we've been together for 25.
Okay, so Larry, I just have to say it like that, Larry.
Oh, he's gonna appreciate that.
Larry, I just dig it. Okay, so you live with Larry.
Yes, for quite some time now.
Does Larry? Okay, you never know in 2024. It could be a unique arrangement. Okay, Larry has a good job.
He's an IT manager. Yes.
So Larry has a good. So Larry, this is now it all makes sense. It took us about an hour to get here.
Honest to goodness. It's something that I am very grateful for, and I hope to mention to him more. I probably should mention it to him more often than I do, but his stability for sure gives me a little bit more freedom. There's no question of that.
Bless your heart, Larry, if you're listening. My buddy Bob Willett, who he's had a lot of gigs over the year, but he was program director at these chorus stations in Kingston. And then Chorus did what Chorus has been doing lately, and they said, nope, and they kind of lop it all off or whatever, and Bob Willett gets his severance, and it's like your services are no longer required. And Bob's kind of lost in the wilderness because all he knows is radio. He loves radio. He's applying for everything, and radio doesn't seem to want him. Like radio is, he's a 48-year-old dude, and radio has few jobs as it is. Like there's not a lot of opportunity for Bob Willett's out there. But what Bob has, which just can't state this enough, Bob has a spouse with a good job. And Bob can afford to do pay-as-you-go, by-the-hour, Indy 88 fill-in because Bob doesn't have to worry about his money paying the mortgage and feeding the kids and all this jazz because Bob has a spouse making real money. That's everything, Victoria.
It's a big help. Absolutely.
Okay, so if you didn't have Larry,
That's an interesting. I know where you're going with this, and that's an interesting question. I've thought about it from time to time. Would I still be doing what I'm doing if I was single, or if maybe I was with somebody else who was also in the same field?
Like if you had to, I don't know, support a family or with your income solely, or pay the mortgage or the rent or whatever.
If I had to support a family, no, I don't believe I would embrace the gig work as much as I do right now. No.
You'd be working in a call center.
I'd like to set my sights a little bit higher. I am educated. I could probably do something.
Oh yeah, you went to Western, okay, but no offense.
And then I went to Seneca after that, so I actually have like 6 years of post-secondary.
Okay, but call Center, good honest work, Victoria.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Stop crapping on the call center.
No. It would not. It's not necessarily the work, but they don't make a great deal of money. If I'm supporting a family, then I would shoot for dollars, absolutely, and maybe do something I didn't like very much.
So once again, shout out to Larry.
Sure.
Good guy. Okay. On our way out, we're going to review here, okay? Because I feel like we got to know each other a lot better. I enjoyed my hour with you. I hope was
He
it
says
good for you?
questioningly.
No, I'm questioning. Is it reciprocal?
We had a nice time.
Sometimes, listen to me. I have Andy Kim down here on Monday, and I think at the end of the show, he was going to just smooch me for an hour. Like, he loved me. He's looking at me with these big brown eyes, like, I love this guy. He says as much on the show, and I'm like, I feel like this guy, Andy Kim, fucking loves me. But here I'm sitting, I don't know if Victoria likes me. Like, I can't tell. Was this a good experience for you?
I've really enjoyed myself, yeah.
Okay.
The conversation
Did
goes
Larry
all
ever
over
tell
the
you
place.
that sometimes you're reserved in a sense where it's hard to tell?
I'm
Has
not
Larry ever
called
told you that?
reserved.
No?
Reserved is not.
All right, get another
usually,
Great Lakes in you. Let's get that Victoria out here. Reviewing, though, you are still writing for ESPN.com.
Yes.
Very prestigious place to
I'm
to
very
write.
lucky, yes.
And that's been many years. What did you say?
17.
17 years. Your voice can be heard on the mighty 1010 as you broadcast from Agincourt at the CTV studios there. You've been doing that for a long time.
In two spells, yes, since 2013.
The devil's in the details. We'll just say since 2013. Okay. Meanwhile, if sometimes, including like now, we can hear you on Sirius XM. You're on the NHL Network.
Here and there, yes.
You have submitted freelance some wonderful prose that has been read in the West End Phoenix.
I've written for other publications as well, yes, but
Well,
they've been more
name
regular.
check a few if you want.
No, it's all right. Actually, you know what? I will.
Yeah.
There's a new magazine that's coming out covering the PWHL called Ice Warriors, and there's a piece. It's just released the last 2 or 3 days, and I did an interview with Taylor Heisey, who plays for the Minnesota Frost, and it's a really fun interview, and I enjoyed it very much.
So you're writing for all these great publications. That's amazing. And of course, Pucks and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Go to your podcast app of choice and search for Pucks and 7. You'll find this wonderful show you co-host with Ryan Payton. And that's like your baby. You own that, and you're thoroughly.
It is my
enjoying that.
favorite gig, yes.
Yeah, because it's yours. It's a big difference between you don't own these Bell Media airwaves. You don't own.
I wouldn't be working at all if I did.
No, it sounds like they have less money than you do. Okay, it sounds like they need some cash, is what I hear. So they're so poor, they're rich. That's how that works. I don't know that math, but. Bottom line is, I hope I didn't miss any of these gigs.
No, that's about right, yeah.
But you can add now to the bio, you can add FOTM. You're now a friend of Toronto Mike.
It was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
And maybe FOTM goes first. And then you go FOTM, ESPN.com, 1010, Pucks and 7,
Sure.
Sirius XM, West End Phoenix. And this new publication, which I just forgot the name of. What is
Ice
it?
Warriors.
Ice Warriors. Amazing. Okay, Victoria Matiash. The most important thing for us all to remember is I nailed the pronunciation of your surname.
Matiash. Very straightforward.
Matiash. I got some bad intel, but then I got straightened up just before recording time. And I did everyone proud. So thanks for making the trek. We're going to take a photo by the Toronto tree. But do not leave. Oh, you know what? I never gave you one of your gifts. Wireless speaker. My goodness, I can't believe this. So that wireless speaker, Victoria, will sound great as you listen to Alice in Chains and you listen to Pearl Jam. Fucking love those bands. We have the same musical taste. Okay. But Al Grego co-hosts a show for Moneris. It's called Yes, We Are Open, and season 7 is dropping now. He went to Winnipeg and he spoke with the twin sisters who co-own Jenna Ray Cakes. Their dream began 15 years ago in their small apartment, sparked by an episode of Cake Boss, and it grew into a legitimate business despite numerous legal and logistical hurdles. So find out how they triumphed over these tribulations. That is the latest episode in season 7 of Yes, We Are Open, and you can listen to it on your new speaker, Victoria.
Thank you very much. Looks lovely.
And you know what? There's a measuring tape. I don't need to know what you measure with it. It's none of my business. But that is courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of this community since 1921.
I'm going to keep this in my car. Always, always have a measuring tape in your car.
I knew you were smart. I knew you were smart, and I now know you're educated. The world's your oyster. Happy birthday. Happy 50th coming up. That's a wonderful milestone, and I can attest to the fact it's okay on the other side.
It's survivable.
You're going to be okay on the other side. And that brings us to the end of our 1,585th show. I am on Blue Sky at torontomike.com. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, RecycleMyElectronics.ca. My latest episode is Cliff Hacking from RecycleMyElectronics.ca. We literally recorded this morning. If I'm punchy, it's because it's the second in a back-to-back, and we didn't have a backup goaltender here. Raymond James Canada, Moneris, and Ridley Funeral Home. Who's next on this program? Do you know, Victoria? Let's find out together, okay? All right. I'm going into my calendar. Victoria can attest to this. And I'm looking at my calendar, and I see my next guest on Toronto Mic'd is, oh wow, it's Ralph Benmergui and Brent Bambury together in the basement. Ralph Benmergui and Brent Bambury, they worked at CBC together for many years, together in the basement. Are you excited, Victoria?
That sounds really cool.
So join us then. That's happening Monday. Peace and love.